Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flying with Spurts. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. My Focke-Wulf 190 testing, all the video files either failed to record or were corrupted, and the replay function, of course, only led to crashes. So we're going to have to settle for TAC-View to discuss what happened with the Focke-Wulf. I did a mission where I did a cold start and was pleased with how easy it was. Ground handling was fairly nice. Takeoff was a little tricky, but was able to get it going. Very little problems figuring out how to get the weapons functioning. Really smooth plane to fly. Very pleasant experience. Climb was good up till about 7 or 8 thousand meters, and then it really started to taper off. And by the time I got to 9,000 meters, it felt like I was just hanging on the prop. So it's definitely a low altitude plane. Now for the combat, I did get to fly with Rogue, and he had his P-47. And we initially set up to do just a simple butterfly, and well, we'll see how things developed. All right, so we see that we're roughly a beam. I have a little bit more speed than him. I'm closing on him. Um, Everything is in the metric units, as is what I had in the cockpit. So we split, and he pulls much harder than I did. Now, you may notice he's a little wobbly. He's not very practiced with the warbirds. He tends to fly the Hornet. And he did not have a very good rudder pedal system, so he always had a hard time with rolling into or rolling out of things with the jug. So he begins to turn back in much sooner than I do. However, he lost sight of me. So what ended up happening is I had the ability to come back around and begin the fight from a relatively advantageous position. You see, I have my AOA up pretty high. I found, as you're probably about to see, that once you get the AOA to anything close to about 28 in TAC-View, the Focke-Wulf has a really nasty stall characteristic. So I start off with a good position, energy advantage, everything's going my way. My target's wobbly, I take a shot. Now, how did I miss a shot from under 300 meters? We'll go into this, as this is one of the things I do not like about the Focke-Wulf. I start pulling, and while this doesn't show it too well, my engine cowling is probably about where the pitch ladder is, meaning I can no longer see my target. And clearly it was not enough to hit it. So you really end up having to do very low aspect shots, or you have to just accept that you're going to shoot blind. So I try to pitch around to recover. Let me scroll out. So I still have the energy advantage. Start climbing. He's climbing. Let me lower this a little bit. Okay, so now we can see the 3D geometry. Oh, by the way, if you know how to shorten the tails in TAC view, please let me know. So I just take my time, swoop up again, and somehow this jug just keeps on turning tighter and tighter and tighter. I lose control for a minute, trying to pull too tight. Okay. And the violence of the characteristic is more readily seen from this perspective. It just snaps me off to the left and I have to stop what I'm doing and recover. That will happen to me several times throughout this fight. In fact, it just happened again. So I reverse course, knowing that at this point I can't continue the two circle. However, it was also a terrible position to try to reverse. So now he ends up solidly on my 6. He's able to fire his machine guns much more accurately than I could fire mine. But fortunately for me, it takes a lot of 50 caliber damage to bring down the Focke-Wulf. So at this point, he's hammered me pretty good. I still have good control. My engine's running fine. So I start thinking about what to do, because clearly turning isn't working. Every time I try and turn, I just lose control and wibble wobble around. But that's an issue of me not being able to control it. So, since we were in the Persian Gulf map, there's Dubai International over there, there's a lot of skyscrapers right here. So I took advantage of the unnatural terrain and chose to extend. So if we look at this initial setup, he's got more energy than me, mechanical energy. I do have a speed advantage over him, and we will just see that continue to play out. My energy just starts increasing, my speed increases, I gain separation. He later admits that he was so afraid of overrunning me that he was not at full power, so that ended up being his folly. He does manage to score an incredible long-range hit, but it doesn't do enough damage. And I'm waiting for the opportunity to sneak around past a skyscraper. And there that opportunity came. You can see when I move the view from above that he just keeps going. He did not see me make that turn. However, then my nasty stall problems came in to prevent me from capitalizing. Just trying to stay patient here. Now I try to, was it here? Oh no, I was wrong. It's a little bit further up. I'm trying to work him into my HUD. I've got the separation, I've got the speed. And then I lose control, lose sight, ditch out, try to recover, lose control again, try to recover, lose control again, and go into the ground. So what I found is that the Focke-Wulf has a very nasty stall characteristic. And I later looked up, it has a higher wing loading than the P-47. I knew the P-47 was heavy, but I wasn't counting on how big its wing really was. So I started thinking, well, if I can't outturn it, maybe I can outrun it. So I decided to try again, using more intentional energy tactics. Unfortunately, Rogue was not able to fly with me again, so I had to go up against the AI. So I'm much more hesitant to use high angle of attack now. The result is that I definitely lost the initial one circle turn in every way. He's got position, he has speed, but just try to play the long game, start diving to pick up more speed. I'm not going to try to stay level and turn with him. I know that that's what, or I hypothesized that that's what had bit me in the butt last time. So I come up over the top. See, the geometry is not too good. So I just be patient. Speed it up a little. So now I've got him in the vertical fight, as the AI is in a habit of doing once you get on their tail. Now I've made a mistake, and I've let myself get too slow over the top, trying too much to keep him in view. I try to not chase him. Try to squeeze off a few shots. Look at the range on this shot. There's just no way. Try a few more, nothing. So I find for a while that I am able to stay on his tail. Until I realize that I can't keep it up any longer. In fact, let's have a quick look at what happened here. Oh, got too greedy with my angle of attack. Had that little snap off to the left. Reminded me that I was doing the wrong thing. I see him dive, and I decide that I want to climb over him. I wanted to keep my altitude advantage. When I see him start to come up, that's when I start to go down. My position here is not awful. It's just not the best either. Here he's forced a high aspect shot, or high aspect situation. I just try to stay as smooth as I can, going over the top. Let myself get slow. Because I didn't want to gain a lot of separation. However, that did allow him to get fairly soundly on my tail. So I still wasn't making the best decisions. He keeps putting me in these high aspect situations where I can't get a shot. Despite my best efforts to. Again, we see that I go way too high on the angle of attack. Snap off. That's not what you want to have happen to you in the vertical. And I was trying to rudder to the right when I should have realized that that was just not going to happen. And if I had hammer-headed left, I might have been able to salvage this situation a little better. Or make the realization a bit too late. AI does that AI thing where they don't stall. Boy, these ribbons are just a mess. Turn them off. So he's behind me. But I've got a lot of speed in my favor right now. Turn into him to give him a high aspect shot. Reverse. Overcorrect. Spurts, you keep blaming all your mistakes on bad flying. Well, look at my angle of attack. Yeah. It's just bad airmanship. These warbirds are a whole nother class of challenge. Almost neutralize this fight. Climb up and over him. That one was actually intentional. I decided to try to do a snap roll to see if I could force him out in front. And it did not work. I just try to use vertical as much as I can. he somehow manages to keep behind me. And there was a break I needed. I actually got the AI to stall out. Gave me time to separate, get some speed, re-neutralize the merge. At this point, I'm just worrying about my energy. And you can see that it paid off. I score a light hit. Swooping in on him. High aspect situation, I overshoot. I use that overshoot to climb. He tries to force another high aspect situation, but he was slow enough that I was able to tag him fairly hard. I'm not sure if I damaged his engine, but he goes up and stalls again. So I take advantage of that and hit him hard. This time I actually do see pieces fly off of his plane. So I just kind of keep an eye on him. And watch him hit the ground. Which then brings me to my absolute least favorite part of the Focke-Wulf. Landing. I looked up the Chuck's guides. I tried to, pay attention to the airspeeds I need to fly, the sync rates I need to have, and I find that in order to match the sync rate with the airspeed, I cannot do that for a wheel landing. I have to fly faster or accept a higher sync rate. And higher sync rates in this mean broken landing gear. So I make my approach. I feel that I'm smooth. I'm level. Low angle of attack. Touchdown. Try to keep the nose down. And inevitably start skidding a bit, especially as soon as the tail wheel comes down. Try to correct it. Skid off the runway. Hit the grass. And flip over. That sums up about 50% of my landing attempts in the Focke-Wulf. I think I had one where I could actually have taken off again afterwards. Oh well. So that's my review of the Focke-Wulf. Incredibly powerful cannon armament that is very short-ranged, incredibly difficult to land, and high angle of attack maneuvering don't even try it. Do not try and turn tight in this plane. Go up and down. It gains speed very quickly. I need to use that to my advantage. Visibility out of the cockpit, not great. I'm sure that some warbirds are going to be even worse, but it is what it is. All right. Thanks for watching. So next up, I will be renting the P-47 Thunderbolt, and Rogue will be renting the Focke-Wulf 190. Due to scheduling challenges, that'll probably have to wait until after the month of April. So even though I know I planned on this only being a few months long, I'm going to have to kind of push it out. I'm not going to have the weekend availability to do flying with Rogue. So in the meantime, I may spend some time with the new Viper flight model that's coming out soon, quote unquote. Hopefully this week, maybe tomorrow. Um, Maybe goofing off a little bit in the Apache, but primarily, this is still my plan. I do still plan on doing this warbird trial. I'll just try to be a little more diligent about taking care of my recording setups ahead of time so that we're not having to deal with TacView. So if any of you have fought in or against the Focke-Wulf 190A8, what do you think that I did wrong? Let me know. Or do you have better experience landing the Focke-Wulf? What do you do? Do you do a main wheel landing? Do you do a three-wheel landing? Because clearly my techniques were not cutting it. Um, I want to give every warbird the best shake it can, and if I couldn't figure it out in a 2-week trial period, and you have an idea of what I was doing wrong, let me know. All right, thanks for flying with me. See you next time.